Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR. I've got a lot to talk about going on in the Big Ten. Welcome to the Big Ten Huddle's basketball episode, where we bring you honest, insightful, and entertaining analysis of Big Ten basketball, challenging the national biases, is talking about every Big Ten team and having a laugh along the way. Don't worry, we have plenty of laughs tonight. We brought in our key guy for that, Dylan Kuhn, DK, as the kids at the school call him. Dylan, you've made your appearance. You're back on the Big Ten Huddle. How's it going?
Happy to be here, hoping for another 2 hour show so I can beat my old record. I came to talk basketball with football jerseys behind me and a hockey jersey on, so it all checks out. But I do have the Edie jersey, the soon-to-be MVP of the NBA. So real excited to talk some hoops, JR. Real excited.
I'm excited too, man. Yeah, I definitely don't want to talk about Purdue football, so we'll leave that
Nope.
alone. We will be
Football
definitely
season's
talking.
over.
Yep, we'll definitely be talking more Purdue basketball in that area. Speaking of Purdue basketball, we have the man Russ with us once again. Russ, how we doing?
Yes, the Trey Kaufman apologist is in the house.
There we go.
Ready to move on. Now we know what it feels like to be an IU fan. We don't know what this leather oblong ball is. We're just ready for the round ball. That's what we're looking forward to. So
there we go. There we go. And as always, we got our guy Burke, who might be more interested in talking football at times, but it's basketball time tonight, so we're definitely going to be getting into that. Burke, how are you doing tonight? And has Kirk Cignetti transferred any of his coaching ability to Mike Woodson? Has that happened yet?
Oh, I mean, you got to hope some of that resilience, some of that just discipline, because Coach Cignetti brought it immediately. You got to hope like Mike Woodson might be seeing some of that, because all of the shade we're getting in these preseason rankings, the preseason predictions, that is the root of it. It isn't the roster. That is the root of it. I'm sure we'll get into it, and I'm going to be here to try to change some minds here. I know there are probably two minds on the show I will not get through to, but I totally understand that, because they're going to have a hard time getting through to me, so it's okay.
Hey, I do have a Cignetti and Woodson comparison.
Okay.
Woodson dyes his goatee and Sig dyes his hair, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Hey, I love it. Sig, that picture of him like as a second grader, it is so crazy. He has the same haircut. It is the same facial expression.
Hasn't
He
changed
came
a
out
thing.
his mama a football coach. I'm glad we got him. Like, honestly, you said it, Russ. Like, this is such a strange October for an Indiana fan. We are truly like, dude, I would have been head over heels talking about basketball as fervently as ever, like all summer, as I usually do, because usually the football season's all entirely written off. It's a new day here in Bloomington, and I'm excited, man. But that being said, I am so excited for basketball season, and I'm so excited to be here to discuss it. Let's go.
There we go.
I think the most confusing part of this October for IU basketball fans is whether they root for Notre Dame football or Indiana football.
Reversible jacket joke. What you got?
What I got is, I want to defend it a little bit of that stance, because I was a Catholic kid growing up. I didn't have parents who went to IU, didn't go to Purdue. At first generation college. There you go. But there is something about, if you grow up in that Catholic school system, they do brainwash you that school in South Bend is the school to go to, man. That is the Harvard. Like, everybody's sibling who went there is the preferred favorite sibling of that family. That's just how it goes in Northeast Indiana Catholic schools. So there is that inherent family. Like, guess what? If your drunk Irish cousin didn't go to college, he's a Notre Dame fan. He is. And so that just gets caught up with family. That's why those exist. But there are going to be that's going to be fewer and further between if Coach Cignetti keeps rolling. So,
that's the only good thing to come out of that.
Coach Siggs, if it wouldn't make my room smell like terrible crap, I would come on one of these podcasts with a cigarette in my mouth for Coach Siggs. But, I don't think my wife wants me smoking in the kids' playroom.
I don't know. I smoked a cigar when we made it to the Natty. So.
Oh, there you go.
Then I got a call instantly from my mother telling me, why am I smoking a cigar? And I was like, I'm 28, Deborah.
At least your mom watches the podcast. Mine doesn't
Kind
watch
of
the
surprised Deb
podcast.
knows how to use YouTube enough to watch, but
Yeah.
you know, God love her. Shout out to my
It's
mom.
it's friendly. It's friendly. Well, we do need to get in some basketball, guys. We have Philip and John with us tonight. We'll also have P-Town Maid. P-Town Maid, I don't know if I've ever seen you in the chat. If I have and I just forget, I apologize, but appreciate you being here. John is saying hey. And, of course, Philip is getting his pick in early. He says, underachieving is from here on henceforth known as Wilt Larding. Will Larding. So,
Willarding.
there we go. Willarding, sorry. I should have got
Nailed
that
it.
the first time. Willarding. So yeah, I have to say I don't have very much Maryland slander in my picks today, but maybe the other guys
do.
So okay, all right, awesome. You guys
We've
are
had a
definitely
history with them, JR. We know.
yeah, I figured. So we are going to go through 7 different subjects tonight. We are each going to give our picks, and we'll kind of discuss them as we go. The first pick we're going to do is the worst team in the league. Then we're going to go with our biggest surprise team in the league. From there, we'll go with our top 4 seeded teams in the Big Ten tournament. So that'll mean the teams that we pick to be the top 4 teams in the Big Ten. Then we will do who wins the Big Ten regular season. And then from there, we'll go to the most disappointing team. And then there, we will do the coach of the year and the player of the year. So when we do each of those, if you are in the chat, please feel free to give your picks as well. We will put those on the screen and make sure other people know about those as well if you're here in the live chat. But first one we have to do is the worst team in the league. Burke, let's start with you. Who is going to be the worst team in the Big Ten this year?
I think it's going to be USC, the Muscle Magic. I think it's run. I don't think it can run its course in the Big Ten. When you're traveling that much, that many transfers, there's one guy returning to that entire building, and it isn't anybody on staff that is a player. Last name Hornery. I think he averaged like 4 points last season. They have nobody on campus, and when you're building a team of transfers, there isn't a single city I could imagine harder to build a team of transfers in than Los Angeles, and all the distractions that come with bringing in a couple of 100,000-aires into the city of LA. You know, it's crazy. I just genuinely think that combined, them just throwing all together all of these pieces with no baseline program identity, no baseline. I mean, not even program identity, just campus culture identity, like no baseline in what to do, who to hang out with, who to avoid. Like that kind of stuff matters. And I think it's going to be a problem for Musselman and USC.
Yeah, definitely not as inviting as Champaign, Illinois. Am I right, Philip? That's a place where the transfers come in and they have a good time. Los Angeles, I'm sure they'll have a good time, but maybe not.
They'll have a great time, and that is going to be every bit of the problem.
Maybe not the good time you want them to be having. Russ, we'll go to you next. Who's your pick?
Yeah, so this is the first hot take. I know Dylan likes using Rusty hot takes, so here's your first Rusty hot take of the evening. I think the worst and last finishing team in the Big Ten this year will be Rutgers.
Oh,
that is my extremely bold take. Wow. I don't think people realize, even with the talent Rutgers had last year, if it weren't for a historically bad year by Michigan, Rutgers finished tied for last in the Big Ten. Then they lose Griffamori, they lose Griffiths, they lose Mawat Mag, even guys like Derek Simpson, like they lose him and they replace him with guys from Merrimack and Penn and a couple of freshmen in the Big Ten. Like, I'm sorry, I don't see that working. And those guys aren't going to stay to get developed. They're going to have good years. But if your first and second leading scorer are freshmen and you're searching for support pieces, that doesn't exactly equal wins in the Big Ten. So wow. I think Rutgers could very well finish last place in the Big Ten this year. I'm surprised that they were 7th in the preseason poll.
Who did they beat just a few nights ago? Was it St. John's?
No, they lost to St. John's.
No, they lost to St. John's. Okay.
Yeah, by 6, I believe.
Yeah, okay, so it was close.
It was a high-scoring game, and those guys look good. But you could definitely see that Mawat Mag and Clifford Omarui were not on that floor.
Yeah, and they're not coming back from what I hear. So That's a bold take there, Russ. I have to agree. I have my concerns about the freshmen as well. I don't think freshmen star out as much as they used to in college basketball. I do think they're very, very talented freshmen, so I'm hesitant to put them very last. But honestly, I can't argue with it too much. So,
No, I'm gonna
Dylan,
say, hey,
or
could
go
I
ahead, Burke.
just say on that, the only like I agree, like depending on two freshmen, even if they are these superstars, is gonna be an issue. But with how they play, there are gonna be some games that those two alone are gonna win. So I feel like they will beat whatever team is just baseline crummy as hell throughout the whole season. Like I don't see them ending last, but as far as expectation go to where they will be, I absolutely see them being one of the bigger followers.
I mean, I could just see a night where one of them goes off for 20 points, another one goes off for 16, but as a team, they barely hit 50 and they lose the game.
Yeah.
That's just, like they could excel and be very great freshmen, be lottery picks next year, but I just don't know where the team production comes from outside of those two.
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. We'll see. I don't know if it equals worse in the Big Ten, but it's definitely a good hot take to have. Let's go to the comments really fast, then we'll get to Dylan. John says Minnesota he believes could be the worst team in the Big Ten. I have to say that's a pretty good pick. Philip says if Rutgers is last, will Harper Bailey leave early to focus on the draft? That's a good point. Would they leave like halfway through the Big Ten season if things are not going well? I mean, or maybe as soon as they get eliminated from kind of big or tournament contention. I mean, it's possible. I mean, even if they have a bad season, I still feel like Harper and Bailey are still probably going to go really high in the draft. So,
Yeah, the NBA is super soft. They wouldn't knock them for that. So
yeah, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. And then one more from John. John says, I know the team isn't the worst in the Big Ten, but how is UCLA getting as much love as it is? That team went under 500 in Pac-12 and they have a new team. Well, John, all I got to say is wait a little bit longer on the UCLA take. I have a UCLA take. So, Dylan, let's get to your worst team.
First of all, it's good to hear Rusty Hot Takes back in the building. You don't see him fired up at this hour much, but it's good to see it. I agree with John. My pick was Minnesota. They were picked apart by the transfer portal. I hate the barn with a burning passion. Robbie Hummel's ACL died there once, and I will never forgive them for that. So it's just bad. But yeah, they got a lot of veteran players, a lot of older fellas, which can work. But here, I don't think it will. So they're gonna have to lean heavy on the veterans. They don't have many young guys. It's just Minnesota, man. I mean, PJ Fleck can only do so much there. So yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota being the disappointment of the conference.
I mean, what if PJ Fleck starts giving out the antidote of confidence to the basketball
or those
team,
Fleck coins? I mean, he's got a lot of gimmicks. You never know. You never know. He could fire him up. He's a pretty good motivator.
We were told this was a basketball episode. Can we stop bringing up football? We're like scarred enough. We don't need the tie-in.
I have to bring up the antidote of confidence anytime I get a chance. That's what got them the win over UCLA.
Someone's got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. All right. Philip says Washington will be last. Philip, you and I are on the same page. Washington is my pick to be last. I think Washington is just going to be putrid this year. They have by far the lowest KenPom rating in the Big Ten, so far down that I counted all teams and I was like, oh, it's only 17 teams. And then I went back and I counted again. I was like, why am I only getting 17 teams? And I was like, oh, wait, maybe I should go lower. The lowest team in the Big Ten is Rutgers at 63, and then you have down there Washington at 75. So they're still top 100. All 18 teams in the Big Ten are top 100, but yeah, that's really low. On top of that, Washington also has one of the harder schedules in the Big Ten. I believe Bart Torvak had it top 6. They are the 6th highest, hardest strength of schedule in the Big Ten. So when you have a first-year coach and you don't really have much talent on that roster, don't think it's going to end well for them. They go home and away with Iowa, Maryland, and Ohio State, but they do get Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Rutgers, UCLA at home. I think they're probably going to lose those home games, and it's going to be a tough time on the road. So those are my picks for that. Let's get to the biggest surprise team. Russ, since you had such a hot take on the last one, we'll let you go first here. Your biggest surprise team. And what I mean by surprise is a team who's generally picked to finish much lower in the Big Ten standings than you think they will finish, let's say 3, 4, spots higher, maybe a little bit higher than that. What are your thoughts, Russ?
So I kind of have two, but one of them is going to be answered in another question later on. So
Okay.
I'll go with Nebraska for this answer.
Okay.
I think that one of the big things you got to bet on in this era of college basketball, when you're talking about, are you going to do all transfers? Are you going to go all recruits? Are you doing a mixture? Have you moved schools? You know, if you're going to gauge success of a team going into the season, I think the biggest factor is your head coach. And I'm a big fan of Coach Hoiberg. I think he did a great job last year. People seem to forget he was top 4 in the Big Ten last year, had the double bye. And I think he did a great job replacing some pieces. Now he only does have one freshman coming in. He has just the 4-star freshman from out west coming in. But I think that, you know, with guys like Griffiths coming in from Rutgers, taking advantage of some of these guys that are leaving some big time programs, you know, you got schools like Washington bringing 8 transfers in, but like none of them are from Power 5 programs. Nebraska went and got Power 5 guys to bolster that roster. And I think that he could push for a top 6 spot, maybe even a top 4 spot in the Big Ten this year.
All right. I like the pick. I will not lie. I thought about putting them as my worst team in the Big Ten. So that would be a surprise if they don't finish near the bottom. Dylan, who's your pick for the biggest surprise team?
You know, you'll like my answer. I'm going to say Ohio State. I think Diebler's building something there. You got Aaron Bradshaw from Kentucky, the 7-footer. As we know here at Purdue, 7-footers, they work. And they can end up becoming one of the best to ever do it. A shout out to our guy, Big Z. But yeah, I think Diebler's kind of had a lot of good things going on. He's built pretty good momentum up there in Columbus, as much as I hate to say it, because we all know I love Ohio State. And I love living in Ohio, and I love living with all these Buckeyes. And I even went to campus for the first time in like 10 years a few weeks ago. Too many stairs at that football stadium. Ohio Stadium was too many stairs. Was not having it.
They do have an elevator. Did you not take the elevator?
You know how many old people I got to wait behind to get into that elevator?
Wow, that's true.
Like there, you know how many Russes are in line for that elevator? It's like 100 of them. Like, excuse me, Grandpa, I'm 28 and I still need to use the elevator. Like, excuse me, I'm just out of shape. No, man. But I think Ohio State's gonna have a great year. You know, they upset the Boilers last year, which was a tough pill to swallow. But I'm expecting big things from Diebler and the Columbus Nuts.
There we go. They're
Nailed it.
nuts.
Yep.
They're nuts over there in Columbus. All right, I can't say I can't say I don't love that pick, Dylan. I will be rooting for that pick from you. My pick to finish higher in the Big Ten than many people are speculating is actually going to be Iowa this year. I think that Iowa has a pretty good chance. A lot of places are projecting them to be bottom half in the Big Ten. I think they'll be top half in the Big Ten, and dare I say it, possibly top 5 in the Big Ten this season. Barton Torvik gives them the 4th easiest strength of schedule in the Big Ten. I know they're losing Tony Perkins, Ben Krikke, Patrick McCaffrey, those kind of guys, but I think Peyton Sandford is going to be a contender to be the player of the year in the Big Ten this year. Why am I blanking on the coach's name right now? McCaffrey, what's his first name? Fran. I don't know how I forgot Fran McCaffrey.
Oh, he's somewhere. Fran is screaming into an oblivion that you forgot his name.
I know he is.
I mean, they're saying
right
basketball
now.
football coach for like 50 years now. So
I know. I don't know how I forgot. And this is also might be me making up a little bit to the Iowa fans, since I did tell them their head coach was overrated like just a few nights ago in football. So in basketball,
you're not wrong.
though, well, yeah, I'm not wrong. In basketball, though, I think they are set to have a pretty good year. I think there's a lot of good talent on the roster remaining. Josh Dix, Owen Freeman was the freshman of the year last year, and underrated addition to the team, Drew Thelwell from Morehead State was a really good player for Morehead State last year. I think he could be starting on the team this year. And if he has a good year, I think that'll be a big contributing factor to Iowa being a top 5 team. Burke, who's yours?
Mine's Ohio State as well. I honestly was going to say I was going to use Iowa as my backup until you use them. But Ohio State, I think there is a lot of talent on there. Like we're getting docked probably more aggressively for Mike Woodson. They are getting docked a bit for Diebler. He does have a lot to prove still, but he ended that season on a roll. There was a lot to build on there. I really like Aaron Bradshaw. I think that is a project that is worth taking on for the Buckeyes. I think it should yield some competent results. And yeah, that's my squad.
All right, very good. We have Philip saying Northwestern's going to be a top 7 finisher. I don't get the Northwestern slander this year. Are you guys in on the Northwestern's going to be like a top 3 or a bottom 3 team?
I
Oh,
mean,
not bottom 3. No. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen
Not
a lot of
bottom
people
3,
saying
but
they're
I
going to
get
miss.
it. I get the
I
slander
was
though.
seeing a lot of people say they're going to miss the Big Ten tournament altogether and like not even be in it. And I'm like, Chris Collins is still a good coach. They still have Brooke Barnheiser. Like I know they lost Boo Buie, but I don't know.
God, I'm
Dude,
gonna
but
miss
look at
saying the name Boo
history.
Buie.
Look at all the
Yeah.
history of Northwestern basketball. There was a time before Boo Buie. Now we're at the time after Boo Buie. So we'll
God, I
see if
love
they were
saying
able
Boo
to
Buie.
adjust in that time during Boo Buie. And
Boo Buie's almost as catchy as saying Guggenheim.
that is a all-time Big Ten name right there.
Zach
for
would
sure.
be honored to be in that kind of
I
category.
love Zach Guggenheim. Big fan of his. Handsome son of a gun. Love you, Zach. You're probably not watching. That's
Yeah,
fine.
he's more of a football guy. Yeah, I mean Brooks Barnheiser, Ty Berry is coming back, Nick Martinelli, Matthew Nicholson. I know he's just kind of a big guy, but I think he's a good passer down in the post. So I don't know. I don't see them being a bottom 3 team. I thought about them as being my surprise team, but I do think that the losing Boo Buie is going to be a factor. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish top 7. And then John is calling a shot right now. He says Michigan can't be any worse than they were last year. LOL. I think they surprise a lot of people. What do you guys think about Michigan?
Bold take. You think they're going to win more than 3 Big Ten wins this year? That's bold. Wow.
Ooh. Also, JR, you said the M word. Congratulations.
Well, I say it on this podcast because
Oh.
I figure they probably don't like it if I call them the team up north in a Big Ten podcast. So.
Did I hear right that like part of Danny Wolf's NIL agreement is he gets to start, and that's why like May's selling them on this too big thing?
I think that was like a rumor, and I tend to believe it. But
Okay, yeah, I don't know. As a guy who's been going through the too big project, I am with Malik Renew. I feel kind of competent, but as for them using it, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And Robe Dust is here. Yo, Hoosiers. There we go. Appreciate you being here, Robe Dust. And Philip, guys, he's calling you guys out. He says double standard for Purdue to Northwestern on expectations. Both lost the best in the school history. Both had good coaches. Both return a ton of production. Well, the only thing I'll say to that, Philip, is we don't know if the Purdue guys are going to pick Purdue to win the Big Ten or not. I mean, we all know the Purdue fan base might not pick them.
Hey, newsflash, you don't know if I'm going to pick Indiana. So,
that's what we call a teaser
Indiana,
in the business.
Watch
never mind. There
Burke
goes the
pick
teaser.
Purdue and Russ pick Indiana. That'd be awesome.
I would kick Russ off the podcast if he did such a thing. I don't have that power, but I would do it. Put it up to a vote. There's like 10 of us, so I mean,
I like it. All right, guys. Hey, we are going to hit a commercial really fast, and then we'll come back and we'll give our top 4 seeded teams in the Big Ten. Stay with us. We will be right back. CBB Analytics isn't just another stat site. It's your ultimate destination for in-depth college basketball analysis used by fans and even the coaches. It has comprehensive stats for men's and women's basketball across Division 1 through 3, dating all the way back to 2018. From shooting percentage to game recap, CBB Analytics has it all. Try CBB Analytics for free or pay for a tier to take your basketball knowledge to the next level. Check out CBB Analytics. All right, guys, we appreciate them giving me a free subscription to be able to tell you about them. And hey, also want to let you know there is a Big Ten Huddle channel for just basketball on YouTube now. So the link for that is in the description. Go subscribe to that as well to this channel. This channel is going to become purely football at some point, and the other channel will be purely basketball. So if you ever want to see like the cut-ups, say maybe you don't want to watch the whole episode, but you want to see a cut-up of an episode, go on over to there because that's where we're going to be posting the cut-ups. Like I said, the link is in the description. Go there and don't leave this episode. Do like the whole open new tab or whatever thing and subscribe, and then just come right back here, and then you're good. So
you're getting so professional around here. I love it. Also, CBB Analytics, friends of the program of the Boiler Express Pod, we appreciate them. Also, good people.
Yeah, Frank got you guys that deal. So
yeah, well, big brain Frank, he needs the stats. He's a numbers guy, not me.
That's
you
true.
think I'm the numbers guy? Ain't no way.
All right,
Not
well,
happy.
Dylan, let's start with a number for you. I know you're not the numbers guy, but I think you can count to 4. So let's go with your top 4 seeds in the Big Ten tournament this year. Don't give me the order; just give me, the top 4 you think, because we're gonna pick the Big Ten champion after this. Your top 4 seeds.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go Purdue. Shocker. What? I'm gonna go Purdue. Okay. I'm gonna throw. Then I gotta look at my notes because I already forgot. Let's do Illinois, Oregon, and those bums in Bloomington.
Wow.
I can't be
Did you
too
say
nice.
Oregon? Did you
Yeah.
say Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
They finally
All
got
right.
rid of that ugly court, so I'm giving them a little credit.
Okay. Oregon, Purdue, Indiana. Who was the 4th one? I apologize.
Please hold.
Yeah, look at your
It
notes.
was Indiana.
Indiana. Okay, that's right. No, I had Indiana. Oregon, Purdue, Indiana. Who's the 4th one?
Illinois.
Illinois. I'm glad everyone else knows my list.
Wow. This is why you
gotta
don't
put
take
Underwood
notes,
in there.
Dylan. This is why.
I actually did take notes for a podcast, which I rarely do. So I mean,
It's
how much
screwed
I
up
love
with
you.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to turn this into a graphic afterwards. So
That's
I
how
gotta
much
take
I love
notes
you,
on all this.
JR.
I appreciate it. All right, my
Say it
4
back.
that I am going to be taking is I'm also going to put Purdue in there. I'm also going to put Indiana.
Ugh.
I'm also going to put Illinois. So Dylan, you and I are on the same page. Don't know if that's scary or not. But my 4th team, I actually think they can do it, even though John doesn't think they do. I think it's going to be UCLA. I think UCLA is going to sneak their way into the top 4. I think they're having a hard time with the road, but guys, all these out west teams, their home and aways are just the other out west teams. And I don't think Oregon, USC, and Washington, actually, I know USC and Washington are not going to be very good. They might split with Oregon, but I mean, you're talking about basically 4 guaranteed wins right there in the conference. That's a pretty good head start to get you in the top 4. So I think UCLA is going to sneak their way in there. Burke, who's your 4?
I want to say there a lot of people like to say we don't care about the West Coast right now here on the Big Ten Huddle, but I'm right with Dylan in lockstep. Those are my 4. Indiana, Illinois, Oregon, Purdue.
Look at us.
Wow. So Russ, are you the same?
So I was shocked. My face when Dylan said Oregon was like, how is this dude copying my notes? Because I thought that was gonna be one of my bolder takes. Like Oregon was making my other surprise team outside of Nebraska, because like I said earlier, I like to bet on coaches. When you're seeing all these new circumstances, new players, recruits, transfers, Dana Altman was 6-1 versus the West Coast teams that are joining the Big Ten last year. 6-1 last year against USC, UCLA, and Washington. So I think with them being home and homes, like you said, they're home and away matchups out west, one of those West teams is going to sneak into the top 4, because you go 5-1 in those games and you find a way to go 500 in your other Big Ten games, you're probably one of those top 4 teams in the Big Ten, because 12, 13 wins gets you there. As was shown last year, right? Northwestern, Nebraska were both 12-8, and they got the 3rd and 4th spot. So I think that's why Oregon gets in. I don't know if Dylan had that much breakdown in his notes or not, but that's where I'm at.
I think you just said Oregon and moved on. So
yeah, hopping on that. That was exactly what my thinking was. Is we need one West Coast team in here.
Yeah,
Because
mine
it's
too,
based
guys.
on-
I agree.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
But
So
great work, Dylan.
yeah, so of course Purdue, I think they're returning enough production. They're returning the favorite for Big Ten Player of the Year, and then Illinois, because Underwood just seems to always be up there, especially the last 5 or 6 years. He seems to always be, if he's not winning the Big Ten, he's within 2-3 games of it.
Most wins in the past 5 years in the Big Ten. Russ, I don't know if you forgot that or not.
Well, it's one of the years. It's like it's one time period, whatever it is. Any years since then or more years than that, and Painter's got it. So they've got to pick that one time frame, whatever that time frame is.
Years fly by when you're in a nursing home like Russ. I thought you'd pick UCLA in there just because you were a senior at Purdue when Wooden was coaching.
No,
I
but I thought you were going to pick the same 4th team because you said they were your surprise team, and that's actually I have Ohio State in there. So if you guys pay attention, I left Indiana out of my top 4.
I didn't want to give him that much credit.
So I appreciate the love Burke has given to Purdue, especially the last time he was on here. But I am one of those people that docks Woodson for his past production based off the talent he gets. Now, I think the one problem IU has could be answered this year. It's just what guard is going to step up and help them in their backcourt because they're talented in the front court, but that's what they were going into last year, right? With Ware and Renew and Ibaka, and now they're basically replacing Ware with Ballo. I don't think they're gonna have any problems in the front court. It's what does their backcourt production look like? Have they really fixed that? If they do, then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him compete for the Big Ten title. But he hasn't, as much as Woodson has shown he can put together a front court and get production from a front court. He hasn't really shown that with a backcourt yet.
Oh, you done, Russ? Jeez.
To defend that, I will say he took our starting shooting guard and made him our 11th man this year. So backcourt has some reinforcements coming in.
You
But that's why we're here. That's why we have the Purdue Indiana on. We have the devil's advocate at all turns. We're
Yes,
good.
sir.
I heard somebody say the other day, Indiana is the only team that is returning a starter that will most likely not be seeing playing time because they added so much in the transfer portal. I was like, guys, let's stop acting like Gabe Cupps was good enough to be a starter.
Yeah,
Like, it was out of necessity.
Hey, but when you're talking about the weak backcourt play, that is what it is. Indiana's backcourt has been lacking since TJD should have had better help. He had one weapon with him, and that weapon, I mean, I don't need to tell you guys who that weapon was. But I mean, another year of him, and it'd have been a totally different story with this backcourt. But we learned that we need to go out and get these transfer replacements. So
I will say, I think Miles Rice is better than Xavier Johnson. I know that's a hot take, guys, but
yeah,
I think Miles Rice will be better.
I also hate how much I like Mike Woodson. I do like Woodson. You can't find
much
much
hard when you like your rival coach. Yeah. That is hard because you want to hate them, but you kind of like him.
It's kind of like Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I hate Notre Dame, but I like Marcus Freeman.
It's because he used to be on the Purdue staff. You got to kind of root for him a little bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
yeah. Let's see what other people are picking here in the chat. Philip says Illinois, Indiana, Oregon, and Northwestern.
Philip,
so
go to
Purdue.
bed.
Philip. Wow. Okay.
Go to bed.
I will be honest. I thought about not putting Purdue in my top 4 because I do think there is some uncertainty there with, without Edie and stuff like that. But I really believe in Braden Smith. I didn't do it. I really believe in Braden Smith, but I don't think it's crazy.
I would have pulled up in that cul-de-sac. I'll tell you what.
How do you know I live in a cul-de-sac?
It's been in your window on many shows. Last show I was on, I'd say you live in a cul-de-sac, and I could see it through your window.
Moving on. John says, I will say this about UCLA basketball. They're going to be better than the football team. Well, John, we've not been bringing up football very much, but you are correct. Just kidding. We've been bringing
Purdue basketball will also be better than Purdue football.
Chris says Indiana, Illinois, Oregon, Michigan State. You guys don't think Michigan State?
They might miss the tournament.
Izzo needs to go to a home.
No, Tony Bennett wore all this 500 times better than Izzo currently is. And just the fact that Tony Bennett already found the exit, Izzo's time, he isn't long for this conference.
I also like Izzo. Tell him to go to a home was a little mean.
How is Fran McCaffrey wearing it better than Izzo? The hot head of the conference is somehow handling better than Izzo.
Fran has more hair. I think that's what it is.
Good point, Dylan. It's great analysis there.
That's how we do things.
Take it easy, JR. Don't get his head too big. He's
too late.
Chris is laughing. He likes it. Philip says, I expect an extreme cluster of teams right around the 500 this year. That will really impact the 4th team.
Bold take.
That is Big Ten basketball right there.
Yeah. When 12 and 8 third place in the conference, that's kind of how the Big Ten does things. Yeah.
John does bring up Jalen Hood-Schifino. He was an awesome guard for Indiana.
That's another fun name to say.
Yeah. So.
My name's not.
All right. Let's do our pick for who will win the Big Ten regular season. I don't think this will be any secret. I have one that's not my favorite team, so I'm going to let you guys all go first on this one. Burke, who is your team, and why is it Indiana?
It's Indiana because look at this roster, man. If you talk objective talent on rosters, if you are free fantasy drafting from the pool of the Big Ten Conference, Indiana's top 8 players are drafted before the next team's 4. And that is just the talent of the roster. Yes, we are getting buffed because of the Woodson buff, and that is earned. That is warranted, man. We've had so much talent on these teams that Woodson hasn't gotten the most out of, and it's been truly frustrating for a bunch of fans who just put any and all resources they got into this thing to watch the team up in West Lafayette have as much success as they did. We have talent here. Mike Woodson needs to see that he has objectively so many gifts. He is blessed with riches for this season. He needs to figure out how he can get them to work together. The floor spacing last year was atrocious. Hopefully, Mackenzie and Baco, you saw how he ended the season compared to how he started. It was night and day. He came on so hard at the end of the season that they had to share the co-Big Ten Freshman of the Year with Owen Freeman. Owen Freeman, as reliable as ever throughout. Mackenzie just came on so aggressively at the end. The backcourt was the most glaring issue for the Hoosiers last year. That has been cinched up. Like I said, he had to start. That was Indiana's most glaring weakness last year. We were still competitive, not as much as we wanted. Of course, we missed the tournament. But the backcourt has been reloaded to an extent that shows that Mike Woodson has finally learned his lessons from 3 years in the transfer portal. He realized that you can't just find the guy you need. You need the guy to replace the guy you need when that guy you need goes down with injury. You need a backup plan for everything now, and I'm glad that we went out and did it. Now it's time for him to put up or shut up because he has so much talent on this roster that anything but success is an indictment on him and everything he's got going on right now.
I love the case that you made there, Burke. Excellent
Sorry,
job.
it went on for a while.
I love it. We are now going to go to Russ, who is surely going to pick Indiana as well. Russ, go ahead.
I will pick the best team in the state of Indiana, which is the Purdue Boilermakers. So yes, you were correct, somewhat. I get the Purdue hate because you're losing a 2-time National Player of the Year, and people see that void and go, "Oh, there's no way they're going to repeat." But the last team since the Baby Boilers that was painters like this is the team that's going to go to the Final Four was the Big Four with Dakota Mathias, Vince Edwards, Isaac Haas, and PJ Thompson. But the year after that was actually a better year. We lost those 4 seniors. We lost that production. Everybody thought, okay, we're going to drop off. And that next year was the year we actually almost made the Final Four. And I think we could see a similar type of performance this year where that team, they had a lot of different starting lineups. They had a lot of different guys lead scoring at different times during the year. But yes, we're losing the best big man in the history of our school, probably the best player in the history of our school, but we might have the best point guard in the history of our school in Braden Smith, who very well could lead the school in most assists in school history after his junior year this year. So, he's obviously the front runner for Big Ten Player of the Year for a reason. Trey Coffin-Wren, yes, his production, if you look at stats, are not consistent, but as far as when he's been counted on, he's been just as dominant as what Edey's been. And we're bringing in these freshmen. Raleigh Burgess is a freshman I didn't mention last time I was on the show, and he might have had the best open scrimmage as far as scoring-wise and defensively of any of the freshmen. So we're bringing in talent. We're reloading. We're bringing back 3 starters from a team that went to the national championship game, and I think this team, once again, is the cream of the crop in the Big Ten.
All right. Braden Smith, best point guard in Purdue history. That's a really interesting take. I was thinking through that one. Are you saying best career as a point guard, or you think he's the most talented overall point guard to ever play at Purdue?
I think it could be both. I don't know that it's as clear as what Zach Edey was, but I think he's in the National Player of the Year conversation his junior and senior years.
Okay. All right. That's really interesting. I'll have to think more on that one. I don't really have anything to refute it, but I'm not going to say it's totally correct, but I trust you, Russ. So, Dylan, who's your pick?
Well, as the kids say, Russ ate and left no crumbs, so can't really follow that up. We all know who I'm picking. Boilers by 1 billion. Russ,
1 billion wins in the Big Ten this year?
Did you leave me a little something? You just said literally everything. I have anything to say. No.
Now, I will say, if you're going to put money on it, put money on the field, because there's only 2 other teams in Big Ten history that have won the Big Ten outright 3 times in a row. One of them actually was Purdue in the 90s, and the other one was JR's team, Ohio State in the 60s. So, odds are,
Russ
especially
there in
with
the
18
60s,
teams now, not the – sorry.
I said you were there in the 60s.
I was.
Bobby Knight was on that team, though.
But yeah, no, chances are we won't repeat, but I don't know how you pick anybody else but us right now.
JR, have you been to Mackey yet?
No, not yet.
We need to make that happen.
I do. I need to go there. I've been to what's it called? Why am I?
Yeah, come
blanking on the name
on.
of Indiana's arena right now.
Assembly call.
Simon Scott Assembly Hall, man.
If you abbreviate
I
it,
don't know why I was blanking on that.
Scotch,
if
Simon
you
Scotch
Um,
Assembly Hall.
if you abbreviate, it's just ass hall. So I mean,
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's what we.
I will
need.
tell you this: if you ever go to Assembly Hall and you haven't been there, if you're listening to this pod, do not get balcony seats. And also,
They're terrible.
there's certain seats where you can't see the whole floor, and they don't tell you that. Also, be looking up ahead because things have fallen from the ceiling in recent years. So bring a hard hat, maybe. So that's just
Yeah,
a few
that's true.
recommendations.
hey
That's
Russ,
true.
where
They tried
don't
to
we?
kill Bryce Sensabaugh.
We want to know you really want to be there, okay?
Russ, where don't you have those problems? Mackey
Oh,
Arena.
okay.
Honestly, Bryce Sensabaugh never played the same after that happened at Indiana. So
All
right, hey.
you're always looking above you. You don't know what's going to happen.
All right, hey, we picked Indiana and Purdue. We got to talk. You guys got to give me the counterpoints. Why isn't it? Why don't you see Indiana? I'm gonna go right back with you because everybody who isn't a Purdue fan watching wants me to ask. I mean, a question. They want the real reason on why Zach Edey can be just replaced like that. I think that if there is one coach that could possibly do it, it is Painter. I got to give him credit, man. Painter is an all-time Big Ten coach.
I don't think
He's
he's
one of the best
replaced.
coaches in the
Like I
country.
said, I don't think it's a replacement issue. I think it's, Trey Kaufman will be the post go-to for this team, but we've surrounded him with shooters. One thing Braden Smith said about these freshmen, and of course, all you're going to hear in the offseason is positive things about your teams, all teams. But every one of these kids can shoot, and every piece of film I've seen from practice, from scrimmages, is all these freshmen can shoot. We already know Miles Colvin can shoot. We already know Fletcher Lawyer, who, yes, he's hot and cold, but in the big games last year against an Alabama, against an Arizona, dropped nearly 30 points in both those games. So I think this is a team that they don't replace Zach Edey and have one go-to guy, but you could have probably 6 different guys score 20, 25 plus at some point this season.
Interesting.
Hey,
Dylan,
I
Dylan,
came
your
in saying, if
analysis.
there's one
We
guy,
also
it's
Ooh, I got a good
we
point.
also need Dylan's analysis. Let's not forget him, Dylan.
Okay, when I left, I forget which football game it was. I left early. I saw Coach Paint in the concourse, dapped him up, gave him a little hug, and I felt like perfection. And I felt amazingness when I hugged Paint. And I said, Paint, I kissed his ring, and I said, God bless you for bringing happiness to this school. And that's my argument: is Paint is all that is man. And yep, that's it.
Well, Burke, I don't know if you've dapped up Mike Woodson yet, but that's about your only argument you can have at this point. But if you
can't
like to make
say
another
I've
one,
had
feel
that
free.
in-depth of research on my end, but
Unless you touched
I
his
mean, I
goatee,
can't really
I don't want
find
to hear it.
that.
Hello, Coach Woodson. Can I just caress your goatee real quick for good luck?
Oh man! All right, Burke. Anything else before we get to some of the comments?
No. And you guys want to tell me why Indiana sucks? I mean,
Oh yeah.
No, I already said my comment was just Woodson hasn't shown the history to get the backcourt production needed to win the Big Ten. If he does that, and he definitely has the pieces, like you said, then I think he could get there. But it's kind of one of those cases where I'm not going to bet on it till I see it, right? And I'm not, I'm not saying that just because it's IU. Like I'm there with Purdue football right now, right? Like I'm not going to bet on us to go out and have a winning season again yet until I see us do it. So that's just, they have the talent to, definitely, but I just got to see it.
Now I said the last question I'm going to ask on this, swear. So I had said, they can refill. It is Painter, and I truly believe that. But this is the first time like Painter is having to fill something this massive in the NIL era. There are teams who are able to reload to an extent that
huge.
Painter proved he was able to last season.
I will
Lance
say
Jones was crucial for you guys, and he was such a big get. All credit to Painter for going out there and getting it, but it just seems like, I mean, what do you say to anybody who thinks that you had to go out and get something proven to address everything proven that you lost in a 2-time National Player of the Year?
Yeah, so I will say you said we're going to have to be forced to play small ball now. Last time we were on here, and that's not necessarily the case. We have 2 7-footers again this year.
Will
So
Burke also dapped him up
or
in a
Burke
football
start
game.
and TKR be the starting 4 this year. But you have guys like Miles Colvin and Cam Heide. Cam Heide, redshirt freshman last year. Miles Colvin, a true freshman, who are going to develop and see more minutes. You've got Braden and Fletcher now upperclassmen now, so they don't have to rely on Edey. They can now take front and center. They can take the spotlight now. Jakari Harris is a guard as a freshman that could start and be that Lance Jones, David Jenkins Jr. role that we've had the last couple of years and fill that role. So, you could say the same thing about Purdue that I just said about you, that, we've got to see it though. Cause it's, you're not going to replace a 2-time National Player of the Year. You're going to have to kind of adapt, but Painter's shown, like I said, that year we lost Haas, who was kind of our Edie type where we went through the post. Well, that next year, what we do, we rode Carson Edwards and Ryan Klein to historic shooting runs in the tournament to almost the Final Four. So I think you could see something like that this year, where we just have to adapt the playing style. And like you said, Painter's a coach that's shown he can do that.
Hey, yeah, and he's shown it time and time to an extent that I can't really argue with you. I don't have a leg to stand on in that regard. But
yeah, Fletcher Lawyer is going to have to be huge this season if they want to repeat for the third time. We'll see. I think that's the biggest question mark to me. I'm confident in Braden Smith. I'm confident in I'm forgetting so many names tonight. Trey Hoffman-Wren. I think he showed it last season. I doubted him a little bit, but I think he showed it in times when he needed to, and so I think that he's going to be a very good center.
We won JR over on Trey Hoffman-Wren. Let's go.
You did. I'm just concerned about Fletcher Lawyer. That's my biggest thing. If he's consistent, I think they can do it, but that's the biggest thing for me.
I'm telling you, Will Berg's going to be a dog.
Wilberg, how could you not be with that name too? That's an awesome name.
It's a great name. A lot of opportunities.
Well, one-syllable names have been very impactful as the big man for Purdue. So, like Haas, Edie, Burke.
That's 2 syllables.
Yeah, Edie's 2 syllables.
It's short enough. We can count it, though.
It's short. It's 4 letters. Like, it's basically 1 syllable.
Zach is one. I mean.
That's true. There we go, Zach.
Yeah, nailed it.
Philip says Illinois is winning it. Indiana has a problem at coach, and Purdue has a problem with extreme dependency on a small point guard. So,
who's
Illinois.
This Philip guy?
We like Philip here. Dylan.
Sorry. I'm sure he's a great guy. He just has bad takes.
Do we know who Illinois' point guard is? I'm only hearing turmoil out of that camp.
Let's hope.
They didn't have a point guard last year, and they were fine. So.
There's Illinois. Jack Tusionis is going to be something, but I'm hearing some negativity out of the others, but whatever.
We'll see.
It's just hard for me to pick a school like Illinois that is replacing all but 2 players to win the conference. Like, you got the talent. Sure, you went and got dudes that can play ball, but you could be 500 in the conference, or you could actually go win it. And I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I think Illinois is going to be up there. I don't know if they win it, but I think they're going to be up there. John says
they're top 4.
Yeah, John says biggest question for Woodson is Malik and Umar Ballo's minutes. How will those look together? I think they'll look fine together, don't you, Burke?
Yeah, I think that we won't see them on the floor together as often as people think. Just with how Umar has played over the years, it is few minutes. Like he has not logged massive counts, but I don't think he will have to. Like we got Langdon Hatton coming off the bench as well. A guy Ohio State wanted. This kid, his size, it jumps off the screen. I mean, he doesn't have all the talent that the rest of these Big Ten starters have, but he is going to be a nice piece off the bench to just alleviate Umar while Malik is operating at the 5. But even then, we could slide McKenzie down to the 4. There is so much talent that if utilized properly, if exercised, if just managed correctly, again, this is all on Woodson this season.
There's the IU fan that I know. That's the radar. If
this roster is stacked to the point where it could be it is a blessing and a curse for Mike Woodson. It's a blessing in that he has all this talent. It is a curse in that he finally has to show it all.
What result would put him in the hot seat, Burke?
Not making the tournament. He's for sure that's
too many
not even an option.
This season.
What else would?
You don't think the pitch?
Honestly, there's so much. Our fans are convinced this is the most talented roster, by leaps and bounds, and it's pretty tough to convince Indiana fans of something else once their mind is made up. I'm sure you guys know that, and anything other than I'm saying banner season. I mean that in the the way everyone says banner year. If this is anything but a successful year, he's out, just has to be.
All right, this will be the last one, and then we got to move on. Philip is saying Illinois number 1, Oregon number 2. Now, I'm not hating on the Oregon take, but I was hesitant of thinking and Team Out West could finish number 2 because of all the away games they have to play. I think 7 away games you have to play, and that's going to be really, really hard. I know UCLA has a favorable schedule on the road, or Oregon has a favorable schedule on the road, I believe. They play Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. So they don't play Purdue or Indiana or anybody like that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for them not to lose at least 4 or 5 games on the road.
I'm also glad that Breton in the comments brought up those dusty, old, asbestos-filled, just tarnished, not tarnished in the way you think, but banners over there in Assembly Hall. I mean, those things, you pat them with something, asbestos is falling everywhere. So and we just got a Final Four banner. We have a bajillion Big Ten championship banners. We got retired numbers that aren't retired, but they are retired. And we got a lot of banners. Just doesn't happen to be national champion. We have a banner on the moon. People forget that.
Brent,
Shout out
yes,
to Dino.
Brenton's an Indiana fan, and he will
Oh,
let you
really?
know. We love that about
Couldn't
Brenton.
have guessed that by that comment.
Yeah, right. All right. So honestly, this was the hardest one I had to do, and I've thought through like 4 or 5 different teams. Obviously, Purdue and Indiana were both one of them. And at the end of the day, I settled on Indiana to be my pick to win it all this season in the Big Ten. I know. But honestly, like they have the 3rd best odds to win it right now. I really believe in Malik Renew. I'm not saying he's gonna be like what Trace Jackson Davis was, but I really, really like him. I know he can get in foul trouble at times, but what big man doesn't? And I think that he's gonna be absolutely vital to this team this year and what he's able to do. And when Mike Woodson had success with the backcourt, who did he have? Jalen Hood-Schifino, who came in ready to play. I think Miles Rice is gonna come in ready to play. I think Kanan Carlisle is gonna be a good shooter for this team. And I think an underrated piece of this backcourt that not a lot of people are talking about is Luke Goody and what he's going to bring to this team shooting wise. Not only is he a good shooter, but I think he does a good job of operating around the arc, so that way he can get himself open. And I think that's going to be huge for this team and what Langdon Hatton is going to be able to bring as a shooter at the 4 spot as well. Mackenzie Mbako, one you can't forget to mention there. So I agree with everybody. I think the biggest question mark is that backcourt and what it does. But when Mike Woodson had the most success, it's when he had Jalen Hood-Schifino, who came in ready to play, and he didn't really have to do much with him. And I think some of these guys they have in the backcourt are coming in ready to play, and he doesn't really have to do a whole lot with them. So I'm going to go with Mike Woodson and the Indiana Hoosiers. But I will be honest, I'm thinking about UCLA. I'm thinking about Oregon. I'm thinking about Purdue. I'm thinking about all those teams, Illinois as well. I'm thinking about all those teams. It's just, to me, this is one of the most wide open the Big Ten has been in a while, because I just think there's a lot of teams that put together a lot of talent, but all those teams also have at least one question mark they have to answer as well.
It's a bad take, JR, but I'll forgive you.
I know. I get it. Well, let's do our most disappointing team really fast. And then
Indiana. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll go first because I think this one was going to spark a lot of discussion because you guys all were hyping this team up. And I guess I get it to some extent. And maybe I'm just a pessimist about my own team, but my most disappointing team is Ohio State. I think Ohio State is going to miss the Big Ten tournament this year. I think they're going to finish in the bottom 3 of the Big Ten. I don't like their schedule and where they're going to have to go. I hated what I saw in that game against Cincinnati that they played. It was an exhibition game. I know exhibition games are, not really always the best indicator, but just terrible defense. And I know Jake Diebler, he won against Purdue. He won at Michigan State last year, but that was also with a team that Chris Holtmann put together. So, and I don't know if Jake Diebler put the best team together this year. I don't know if Micah Parrish is good enough to be a starting 3-man in the Big Ten. I think Aaron Bradshaw is still very raw, and Jake Diebler could put that together, but I don't know his track record with big men. I think Bruce Thornton's going to be really good, but I think Michi Johnson kind of throws up shots at times, especially when the offense kind of gets in trouble. So I get why people are picking Ohio State with a lot of the potential of Sean Stewart, Aaron Bradshaw, Michi Johnson, stuff like that. But I also look at this team and I don't really know how they play together, and I don't like the defensive potential. I like the scoring potential, but I don't really like the defensive potential. So that's my pick for most disappointing team. I could see Ohio State not making the Big Ten tournament, or if they do make it, they are one of the very first teams to play, which would not be a surprise to me. Do you guys have any thoughts? Because you all picked them either to be top 4 seed or a surprising team.
No, I think you should be canceled by Ohio State fans. I mean,
Well,
what?
probably.
Dude, I think, yeah, as likely as they are to be a surprise success, like it's Diebler. It's his first real season. This could fall off the rails immediately. And then, then there's goes your point. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but Russ, do you have any thoughts?
I'm just sorry that Holtman so deeply hurt you and made you
I
view
am
your
very hurt.
program this way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, JR. We love you. We're here to support you, and it's going to be better. Okay.
If you need a shoulder to cry on while we're hoisting the trophy, I will call you.
I appreciate that, Dylan.
Yeah, I
appreciate
got
that.
you. I got you.
All right, Burke, who is your most disappointing team?
I think Rutgers. I think that depending on the two freshmen, a lot of people have them ranked. Depending on the two freshmen, yeah, they're going to win some games because they're NBA talents and they're going to sink shots like at an ungodly rate one night. Other than that, just the way that it just seems like the program sold out Clifford Omarui and any identity they had to anyone outside of that program. I feel like, of course, it was for something big and exciting, which is the two biggest recruits that this campus has ever seen. That being said, it is freshmen in the Big Ten. They don't always fare well. Especially when you are like, I'm only depending on this freshman in the Big Ten. So they are my most disappointing.
Interesting. Russ.
I think it's UCLA. I won't double up on Rutgers. I already said they were going to be the worst team. So I think UCLA, I don't get the top 3 preseason poll ranking. They were, a 500 team in the Pac-12, I think below 500 2 years ago. Mick Cronin is, he's an okay coach. He's a decent coach, but he was 3-4 against the West Coast teams that are joining the Big Ten this year. And so I just don't get, because he's reloaded and he's already, I'm going to take him as word that they don't have the NIL to go get good players. And that's why they were so bad last year. So clearly they probably didn't get the best players this year. I don't understand why they're just getting crowned. I get that Kent's got a love affair with him, but that's an area that Kent and I are not going to agree until, the teams hit the hardwood here in a few weeks. So, or a few days. So, but I don't get UCLA.
I will say Mick Cronin did have 2 very good years before last year, single-digit losses, but maybe he had more NIL.
Every time I'm on, I say it, but he was doing that playing Big Ten ball in the Pac-12.
Well, that's true. But he's bringing Big Ten ball to the Big Ten now, Burke. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
and he ain't used to people who know how to play Big Ten ball.
If only there was still booty ball over at Penn State, that would be.
Hey, pause.
Dylan, your most disappointing team.
I'm gonna go UCLA, and I hate that I agree with Russ on something,
Wow.
but as a guy that lives in Dayton, Ohio, I'm surrounded by UC fans, and those people hate, and I mean hate, Mick Cronin. So shout out to my UC homies. Mick Cronin's gonna fail, and UCLA is gonna be down in the dumps.
They have Wes Miller now, though.
Yeah,
They shouldn't be too upset.
You
I wish
mean the
Ohio State would've
sweatiest
hired-
man alive?
I wish Ohio State would have hired Wes
You
Miller.
ever
What
see
was
that-
it, Wes or Archie?
Wes.
It was Wes.
Archie's somewhere. I don't even know where Archie is since he got fired from Indiana. No, but if you ever Wes Miller sweats through a dress shirt like you've never seen before. It's almost impressive. It looks like he got a Gatorade bath before the game. And that's coming from a sweaty fat guy too. It's impressive.
It's
Well, I
impressive
think
when
Wes
you look
is
at the
fat.
shirt.
I think he's just sweaty.
It's impressive when you look at the shirt and you're like, oh, I can't tell where he sweats. And it's because
Where does it start and where does it end?
it's awesome.
And he wears a white shirt. He still wears a white shirt. And it's like, buddy, you got to learn. It's not a wet T-shirt contest. What are we doing?
Just wear the athletic wear. Get to
I
wear the
miss.
athletic
They need
wear
to
like
bring back
everybody else.
wearing suits. I kind of miss when they wore suits.
I'm okay without it. Chris Holtman wore a suit, so I never want to see a suit. Ohio
well.
State's baseline again. All right. If here we go. John saying Archie Miller's head coach at Rhode Island.
The wagon of Rhode Island.
There we go.
Good for
I'm rooting
Archie.
for Rhode Island this year.
I was hoping IU would keep him, but
Yeah.
All right. Didn't get any most disappointing teams in the chat. So give me your most disappointing teams in the chat. We're gonna do a commercial really fast. And
if I
you
see
all
one
put any in
Purdue
there.
comment, I'm coming for you.
There's a Purdue comment.
No, I said if there is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was
yeah,
I was
if-
threatening your listeners, JR.
That's fine. They need to be checked every now and then. So. If you have any disappointing teams, put them in the comments. We'll get to that after our commercial here. Home Field is your go-to destination for premium collegiate apparel with a passion for comfort and a flair for vintage design. Home Field brings you gear that is comfortable and stylish. With over 150 colleges to choose from, Home Field digs deep into the archives, uncovering forgotten logos, iconic mascots, and legendary moments to create one-of-a-kind apparel. Use my code TBTH for 15% off for new customers, or use my link in the description. Back here on the Big Ten Huddle, please do like and subscribe. We appreciate it.
You got to show the Philip comment. Yeah.
Philip says Purdue just because I know he can't kick my ass.
Philip, I'm coming for you. Meet me on the Twitter streets, pal, at Dylan Kuhn _.
Little did you know,
I almost
Philip is
respect it.
actually Boiler Burner.
He's
Even more. Come on. Boiler burner reference.
Chris is saying Rutgers as well. They didn't look good against St. John's last week. So that's I do think it's really interesting, Steve Peichel going from this like defensive minded team for all these years to now he's gonna have these 2-star freshmen that just score like crazy. Like, how's that gonna work? Going from so much defense to that.
He is uprooting the play style that has garnered him any respect in this conference.
Yeah.
That's a wild move.
Yeah.
Philip
sure.
is my listener of the show. I respect Philip.
Yeah. And Brenton agrees with you. He says they have 2 freshmen and what else?
and a Merrimack transfer.
Yeah. Who's the other guy? They have another guy. Was it? It wasn't Bryce Williams.
Where is Merrimack?
Jeremiah
Malott
Williams.
Mag. Oh wait, no. Cliff Amori. Oh wait, no. Gavin
Yeah.
Griffiths. Oh wait, no.
Jeremiah
No.
Williams was good last year though. But yeah, I agree. He's not, best in the Big Ten. Good to be able to do that. So, all right, let's get to our Player of the Year prediction. Or no, sorry, I apologize. Coach of the Year prediction. And then we'll do Player of the Year. Russ, we'll go to you first. Is Painter going to win it again?
I don't think so. I don't think you can be picked to win the conference once
You're
again.
fired.
Have won it 2 years in a row and you win it again. Even though we lost Zach Edey, it's one of those things where you hear people saying, "Oh, Purdue's not going to finish top 4. They're going to be disappointing." But when he does it, they're going to go, "Oh, well, of course he did it because it's Matt Painter. He always does it." So he's
Well, we did
he's-
all pick Purdue
so-
to be in the top 4 of the Big Ten tournament. So
true. That's what I'm saying. That's like so. It's But I think it's gonna be co-coaches again. So I'll follow that pattern. I think it's been 2 years in a row they've done a Big Ten Coach of the Year, and I think it's going to be Jake Diebler and Dana Altman. For those that are not familiar with Oregon brand of basketball and the Oregon coach, Dana Altman's 2 or 3 time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. He did make a Final Four out there, so I think he's going to fit in well with the high level of coaches we have in this conference. And I know he's picked 6, so he's got some respect. But if he finishes, top 3 in this conference, I think he could garner some Coach of the Year votes, at least, if not the award itself.
boy, if Jake Diebler wins Coach of the Year, I will pee myself. I'm so excited. Okay, Dylan. Dylan, your turn.
Hey, there's been a lot of bold promises on Twitter that nobody's followed through with, so we need you to.
I didn't promise that. I just said it.
Clip that.
What are we on, an hour or 2? Okay, I gotta put that in my notes. I'm gonna go with Matthew Curtis Painter, the most handsome coach in the Big Ten, best head of hair. When he wore suits, he kind of looked like a mob boss, and I love that. That's why I miss the suits. But I'm telling you, and Matt Painter, I trust. He's really all we got going on at Purdue Athletics. Because, I say, there's a few others. Volleyball coach just became the most winningest coach in program history, and there's a few other good ones. Anyway, no, I'm going to go with Matt Painter because I love Matt Painter. Gave him a big old hug a few weeks ago. Felt real good about it. But yeah, Matthew Curtis Painter for Coach of the Year.
I mean, if he's like emanating like perfection, I mean, I don't know how you don't pick
People
him,
walk
so.
up to him and they're just
Just bow. Okay.
Painter, Painter.
All right. I'm gonna be chanting his name like they did PJ Fleck after he beat USC.
Hey, he's not nearly as whack as PJ Fleck.
We have never brought up PJ Fleck so many times in a basketball episode. This is
PJ
why.
Fleck. We'll do it again.
All right. John says Brad Underwood. That's his pick.
God,
If
ain't
Brad
no
finishes
way.
up there, could definitely happen.
Somebody's
Phillip-
angry grandpa.
Philip says Greg Gard wins Coach of the Year because of low expectations, and he always tends to exceed. That's interesting because if he doesn't do well enough, he would possibly win Coach of the Year while his fan base is simultaneously trying to fire him. That would be awesome. I love that.
But in that's also just an average Greg Gard year. Does he win Coach of the Year in years prior? How many times has he won it?
At
More than
least
Brad
twice.
Underwood.
I think he's won it.
Really? Then yeah,
Got him,
hey,
Russ.
Brad
that was
Underwood.
that was a genuine question. I was wondering. It yeah.
I think
Seems-
Gard
that
has won it
sounds like
twice.
a go-to Guard year. So
I don't know. I think Greg Gard gets fired soon. Chris Holtmann won it, and then he got fired years later. Greg Gard wins it, he gets fired years later. That's my thought. That's my thought. And then Brenton said Woodson easily when he wins the Big Ten. There we go. I do think if Indiana wins the Big Ten, you have to give it to Woodson, right?
Even though they're second,
he has so
second
much
most votes.
talent that I'm like, I don't know if he deserves it. I mean, I would want to give it to him, but there's so much talent on this team. If he wins with this team, it's nothing incredible. That should be what's expected.
I know,
We
but
put
people
enough
literally
we
were
put
trying
enough
to fire
money
him
and
last
resources
year.
behind this whole operation.
Yeah, but people were literally trying to fire him last year. I don't know.
In an 18-team Big Ten, if you win the Big Ten, you should be Coach of the Year regardless of what expectations were or talent level. Because I hate when coaches get docked. Like I would push for if IU wins it, I would push for Woodson to be Coach of the Year. If Illinois wins it, Underwood should definitely be Coach of the Year because you shouldn't get docked for the talent on your roster because you put together that roster. And in today's day and age, how hard is it to put together a roster with NIL and transfers and oh yeah, you also have to go talk to freshmen still or high school players still to get them to come in as freshmen. So if you win the Big Ten, I think you should be at the very least Big Ten Coach of the Year, if not outright Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Filling in for Ken, he says Chris Collins because Ken is
Boo, Kent. Boo.
No,
I mean, pick third and last in the conference. If they push for a top 4 seed like they've done the last couple of years, I think that's a good case.
I mean, but how many times does Chris Collins have low expectations and then finish top 4 and we're like, oh, nobody saw this coming? It's like, guys, he's done it the past 3 years. Like, it's kind of like the Painter thing where it's like, oh, well, he's done it the past 3 years and then we didn't think he would. Oh, my goodness, now he did it. It's like, oh, wow. I don't know. I always have a hard time with the Coach of the Year because, like, there is an aspect of it of, like, low expectations and exceeding them that I do think kind of gives you Coach of the Year, thought process. But I'm with you, Russ. Like, you had the bad talent or you didn't put together a good roster. Like, is it really Mike Woodson's fault that he went out and put together a good roster? Is it really Matt Painter's fault that he won the Big Ten the last 2 years, possibly 3 years if he wins it this year? Like, I mean, at a certain point it's like maybe he was just the best coach in the Big Ten this year and we just need to give him the award for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Russ, I agree with it should be on that merit, but this award more than most awards, pretty much I would say is narrative driven. It's going to be a narrative that wins this, and that's why I agree with your Altman choice. I just feel like whoever out of that West Coast, all we're going to hear about is how much they've traveled all season long. Look at the hours these guys are logging. Whoever is able to navigate that respectively is definitely going to be in that inner running of the Coach of the Year, I think.
I'm glad you said that, Burke, because my choice for Big Ten Coach of the Year is Mick Cronin. If Mick Cronin finishes and gets to the top 4, I think that he gets that consideration, basically for the same reason that you guys said about Dana Altman, because he was 500 last year, didn't make the tournament. If he gets to a bye in the Big Ten tournament, they're going to give him the consideration for that. So,
hey, Dylan Guggenheim's here.
I know, that's why I was dancing. He hit 2,000 subs. Let's go, Guggenheim. Let's go.
We did
love
get
me
2,000.
some Zach Guggenheim.
We did get 2,000 subs this morning. That was really cool. I got an email from YouTube, and they put like the confetti in it and everything. So that was
when do
really
you
nice
get one of
from
those
YouTube.
fancy plaques?
I think you have to get to like 1 million. So we're like
100,000, I think.
Close.
Okay. Well, actually, we're closer than I
Rome
thought.
wasn't built in a
2%
day.
there. We are
Guggenheim, I
2%
gave you
there.
a shout out earlier in the show. Good to see your handsome. Well, I can't see your face, but you get.
It's a
Hey,
handsome
he's an
logo.
admin. Why can't I be a? What do they call in the comments? Not an admin. Moderator?
I guess I could make you one. I never thought that you would
That's
want
probably-
that kind of responsibility.
It's probably dangerous. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The podcast might explode. David French says Brad Underwood has not won Coach of the Year. Should have last year with keeping the team together with all the TSJ stuff. Who won it? The co last year was Matt Painter and was it Collins
Hoiberg.
or
Hoiberg.
Hoiberg? That's right.
Yeah. I think that's what we're moving towards. I think you're going to have a narrative coach that gets co-coach, and then whoever wins the Big Ten will get co-coach. I think that's essentially what you'll see happen pretty commonly now.
Well, we have all these like defensive player of the year, like player of the year, freshman of the year, transfer of the year. Like we should have like a new coach of the year, a narrative coach of the year,
or just do coach of the year and then most improved coach of the year. Like,
yeah, your player went to court and you kept your team together and you won coach of the year. Like these should all be awards. Right? I mean, David's the one that brought it up.
It's on David, not on you.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a bad point. I mean, that was really hard to keep all those guys together. So
Guggenheim, I love you, and I want you to know that. Okay.
I mean, but the problem is where are they going to go? Like what? Like, hey guys, don't quit playing basketball because your guys. And no, like usually that pulls them together. Like usually adversity, like they fight for their teammate. They fight like usually. I mean, I don't know.
I guess I am kind of creating a double standard here because I ranked Jim Harbaugh last right away with when he got suspended for the second time, but I don't know. He got suspended, so I feel like that's a little different than somebody getting.
Who was the kid that broke a window of a fast food restaurant with a brick?
Yeah, and you're right, Philip. He got he got acquitted from all the charges. He's not guilty. Yes. Yeah.
Philip's a lawyer in his day job.
Honest to God, I kind of judged
I'm glad he
it
came
wrong.
back to play since he was not guilty. I mean,
Dude,
I would have hated that if he missed the entire season.
Hands up. Like my inner voice was judging that whole situation wrong. Like credit to Brad Underwood for sticking by his guy.
Well, I
like,
think
even when he was playing him, and I was like, oh, I don't know if you should be playing him. Like based on everything that came out regarding that, it's to stick by him through that. That's, I mean, credit to Underwood.
Oh, there you go, JR, a Kyle McCord reference.
I don't dislike Kyle McCord as much as other people do. I mean, I do think Ryan Day deserves credit. He went 11-1 with Kyle McCord as his quarterback.
I don't know. Eric and Wildman.
Everybody just wants to say the top 5 record. I get it. Whatever.
Eric and Wildman were dancing on his grave on the OHIO pod.
Well, yes. they're a little bit more dancey than I am.
Those are big guys dancing too. Let me tell you, those are not light fellas. You know, cutting
do not
the rug.
want them dancing on you.
They may fall through.
All right, Burke, your coach of the year.
Oh, I said Dana Altman.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Well, you didn't say Woodson, so. Is there a Twitter account out there that's like a spoof of like, you know, Woodson's goatee?
Oh, there there's everything. Like, of course there is. There's Woodson.
I'm sure there has to be.
Yeah. My high
All
school
right.
has started wearing candy stripe pants, and I'm about to write them a letter saying, "What are we doing?" And we're navy blue and white. It's not even the same colors.
That makes it a little more excusable, but
Dylan, let's get you on the biggest topic of the day. Who is going to be the Big Ten Player of the Year? Won't be Zach Edey. He's with the Grizzlies now. All right.
No, he'll be winning NBA MVPs.
Yeah.
You know, Braden Smith is coming hot this offseason. He's had a hell of a offseason. Grew a Abraham Lincoln style beard. Points for me. Bought a Cybertruck, which I think they're uglier than sin. But, you know, the kid's riding high in a Cybertruck. Good for him. I really hope that he keeps the Abe Lincoln beard through the season. I think it's glorious. Big beard guy. That's why I wear one. Then I don't know how many chins underneath this nowadays. I've had this thing for like 10 years. Anyway, Braden Smith is going to tear stuff up. He's going to tear up floors all across the conference. He's going to pull up in his Cybertruck, which is with his Abe Lincoln beard, and he's going to go bananas.
It's quite the combo, a Cybertruck and an Abe Lincoln beard.
I'll tell you, a hell of an offseason. The kid's been on fire. You make you make one national championship, and he goes out and buys a Cybertruck. Could have bought, I mean, like what a Cybertruck's like $100,000. You could have bought a much nicer vehicle for that, but you know, he'll look back in 10 years and be like, "What am I doing?"
The Cybertruck's bulletproof, so
allegedly.
No, I saw a video. They shot bullets at it.
Yeah, they also put a brick through the window. Like that thing couldn't take a Nerf gun.
Oh man! All right, so I'm picking Malik Renew, but I feel like I should also mention somebody else because I don't want to just pick all Indiana. And I kind of mentioned him earlier, but if there's anybody that is kind of like a dark horse to be the Player of the Year, and I think he might deserve to get it, even though his team might not do so well, I think Peyton Sanford is probably my dark horse pick there, just because he's going to go so crazy with scoring, and he came back, and he has NBA talent. He could be an NBA player. So that'll be my pick is Malik Renew, but I'm going to go with a second option of Peyton Sanford. Burke.
Hey, I love the Malik Renew pick, and I mean, good, intelligent, and ball because everybody's on Umar Ballo. But
I'm
when it
not
comes down to the
daunted.
minutes, it is going to be Malik getting a majority of the minutes. He will be on the court far more than Umar by the end of the season. But for my pick, I chose Indiana to win, and if Indiana wins, it's because Miles Rice comes on and does everything that we went out and bought him for.
Wow. Okay.
We're lacking so aggressively in that backcourt that I think if he comes out and if he's competent, if Indiana's on top of that conference, it will be him we look to because he will be the most glaring replacement that we have on the floor. We've had front court production. If Indiana is successful, it is because the backcourt stepped up to a degree that will be noticeable.
It's interesting. I do think that he'll be a big part of the team. I don't know if he'll win Player of the Year, but that is interesting. If he plays well enough,
I can't pick Braden, man. I can't.
Yeah.
You can. Just do it. It'll be fine.
Russ, are you picking Braden?
No, I'm picking Trey Kaufman. No, yeah, Braden Smith. Yes. It's kind of like, again, I'm copying Burke's words. He said it last time he was on here. If Purdue wins the conference, Braden Smith, even if they compete for the conference, Braden Smith's going to be Player of the Year. I think if you look at the history of this award, it's not going to be a transfer. It's definitely not going to be a freshman. It's going to have to be a guy that's returning and was a decent producer for his team the year before. And there's not many, and also their team finished in the top 4, top 5 in the conference. And there's not many guys that fit that profile, other than if we're going to pick a homer pick for Purdue or IU. I will say if I'm
it's just getting good.
Uh-oh. Is that Russ or me?
I think it's both of that.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. The nursing home internet
you're back.
really
You're back.
messing
You guys
stuff
are
up,
back.
Russ.
Oh, you paused too, Dylan. We just thought you guys were on the same internet together. That was really weird.
No, I don't.
And then
live
Burke
in a
wasn't
home.
moving, and I was like, oh, shoot, it's me. But no. So, all right. Russ, continue. Sorry.
okay. Sorry. So yeah, I think too, Philip.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God, the nursing home internet's killing us.
Okay, the timing on that really makes it feel like a bit, though. The
I
timing on that one really makes it feel like he's doing
I do wonder if he just unplugged his internet just to mess with us.
It's all going to hell.
Nope, there he is.
This is
Hey,
not.
hurry up, Russ. Hurry up.
Russ, this is your last chance. If it doesn't work this time, then we're kicking you off the podcast.
Yeah, Braden Smith or Bruce Thornton. Yes.
Oh, Bruce Thornton. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I tell you, this group really, really loves Ohio State.
How does he
You
get
think
it? How
these
does
were the
he get
Ohio
it?
State fans, not me.
Andy.
Oh my gosh. There they
I
go.
need
Burke.
to know Bruce Thornton's path.
So if we look at the award here, Burke, Purdue, Zach Edey was the last two, obviously. Johnny Davis from Wisconsin, and then two-time Luke Garza. The time before that, Cassius Winston, Keita Bates-Diop, Caleb Swanigan, probably saying that wrong, but they're frozen, so they can't. Oh no, Dylan's moving. Shoot. Denzel Valentine. Interesting. All right. I don't know. Is Dylan moving or not? Yeah, he kind of is. Not enough to really comment though. That's fine. All right, let's go to the comments and see what these people are thinking.
Are we good?
I can hear you. Russ is
Yeah,
still
I
frozen.
got you.
No, wait, there he is.
I could hear you the whole time. That's the weirdest part is I could hear you all the entire time.
That's so funny. We went to an hour 15 and StreamYard was like, no, we know Dylan's on this podcast. We are not going 2 hours again. Like, we are going to mess
No,
this
we
up.
go 2 hours and 1 minute so I can beat my old record.
Dylan, if you're going to use our pod account to talk shit on me, at least spell playing and paying right.
Shoot. Russ said a bad word. That doesn't happen
Okay,
a lot.
can we try this one more time? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braden
Okay,
Smith and Bruce Thornton. Go ahead.
Normally the award goes to a returning player that's a high producer on a top 4 or 5 team. If Braden Smith has the season I think he might have, he's going to distribute so much that people like a high scorer. And I don't think he'll have those stats. But Bruce Thornton, if he carries Ohio State to a top 4 seed, I think he'll be a high enough scorer that he can. And Jackson Shellstat for Oregon as well. You know, Oregon being a top 3, top 4 pick bias. I think those guys are a couple dark horses.
Oh my God, you made it.
That's a good thought. And I appreciate
Attaboy,
that we got
Russ.
the entire thought that time. David says Brooke Barnheiser or Ace Baldwin, Player of the Year. I think Ace Baldwin has a really, really good chance to win
Relation
Defensive
to
Player
Alec?
of the Year again. But I think
Yeah.
Penn State's going to have to do more for Ace Baldwin to win it.
I don't think either of those teams will be competitive enough to have their player win it.
But
Yeah.
if Northwestern gets into the top 4, I mean, there's definitely a case for Brooks
That's a big
Barnheiser or
if.
Ty Berry if they play well enough.
They'll both be
yeah,
really
for
good unanimous, all second team Big Ten players because of the way their team performs.
All right. And then Brenton says Braden is good, but not Player of the Year good. Appreciate the thought there, Brenton.
Guys, we only got 40 more minutes. What else we got to talk about?
Well, we did have a question, and we'll get to that, and I'll get you guys' raw thoughts on it since I didn't ask you before. But Philip is asking, most likely to be fired. You guys think you got a
Philip.
thought?
I'm going to fire Philip.
Sorry, Philip, you've been fired. I think most likely to
Love
be
you, Philip.
fired first, Ben Johnson might get the firing first. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on that is.
I think that's unfair. Everybody
think it's
he's
kinda
been
unfair
given,
too,
he's
but-
coached up. He's a good coach. He just doesn't have the resources to retain a single talent.
Well, who else?
Yeah, I think
who would you pick instead then, Burke?
Steve Peichel.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sorry. You get to the best freshman they've had in a long time, and you finish last in the Big Ten, like we think you might.
Yeah.
is
And
that
you've
when the
lost,
freshmen
and
shut
it's-
it down? Is
you
that when
know-
the freshmen shut it down? When Steve
Uh,
Peichel gets
Possibly, yeah. It could be because like you lost a lot. Your team could have been stacked this year had you held on to those pieces and brought those 2 freshmen in. Rutgers might be a top 4 pick, but you lose all those guys. You bring in the star freshman, you don't perform. I mean,
And the unprecedented recruitment is going to play into unprecedented hype, which is going to just put a stank on all of that fan base if it goes wrong.
That makes sense. All right, so I went with Ben Johnson. I'm gonna put this in the graphic too. Who cares? Russ went with Steve Peichel, which I'm gonna probably spell his name wrong, so I'm to check it later. Burke, do you have? Or were you gonna say Steve Peichel too?
Yeah. I feel like with the way he sold out, I mean, I don't know if it was just he couldn't pay Clifford Omarui, because I can't imagine they're giving Harper $2 million. I have a feeling the NBA daddy plays into that for sure. But yeah, I feel like he's just made such a shift to welcome these guys, to cater everything to a bunch of freshmen, that if anything but success follows these freshmen, he's going to be the one with his ass in the jackpot.
Honestly, Rutgers fans might be kind of feisty, so that would make sense because the season in football is not going the way they thought it would, and they're kind of feisty with Greg Schiano right now. So that might just turn into Steve Peichel feistiness. So, Dylan,
Ditto.
ditto.
Yep.
Steve Peichel. As
All
well.
the above.
Surprised nobody said Kevin Willard.
That's what I was
Hey.
just about to say before you
Hon-
interrupted me.
Honestly,
forgot
as the
Maryland was in the
Indiana
Big Ten.
fan, I'm surprised nobody said Coach Woodson, because if
you know,
Indiana is anything but successful, you have to admit the Indiana fan base is they like to get real hot.
What
about
is
whoever's in charge.
unsuccessful? What is unsuccessful for the Indiana
Dude,
fan base? Like worse than
mean,
top 4?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
with this roster,
think that
for
Mike
sure.
Woodson and Greg Gard find themselves in an interesting category, which is they could be coach of the year or they could not finish the year. Maybe Woodson will probably finish the year no matter what, but like they could both be fired or they could win coach of the year.
I'll tell you what works for Mike Woodson is no Indiana basketball coach has had as easy a November as he will have, because nobody's had
Oh
the
my.
distraction of football.
I thought you were going
JR.
to talk about their cupcake.
No, I just mean as like, hey, you're coaching Indiana, you kind of start in the hot seat a little. But now that we have Coach Sig over here distracting, man, it's something else.
Brenton Fender really showed his age with Woodson Gucci AF. That's like the most teenage thing I've ever heard.
Can't confirm though.
I mean, but is he wrong? Like,
He's not wrong. He's completely right. It was just his delivery with Woodson Gucci AF. I'm sure he owns a few Gucci bags. I'd be
that's a
surprised if he
Gucci
didn't.
AF response there right now. He says I'm
Oh,
38.
Brenton's 38. No, right. He's 10 years older than me.
He's got the better lingo. I love it, Brenton.
Good for you, Brenton, for being in touch with the youths. I respect it.
John says not making the tourney about Indiana is a failure. So I feel like it would be really interesting if Indiana gets like a 10 seed or something like that. Like if Indiana has a season last year that Michigan State had, where like they start off bad and then things kind of get better, but they just have a really high like Ken Palm rating or something like that, and they make the tournament. I honestly feel like we could see a scenario where Mike Woodson gets fired before the NCAA tournament.
I thought we were going to make the tournament last year because I thought the rules to making the tournament for anybody in the Big Ten was finish above Michigan State. I thought that's all you had to do. Indiana finished above them, but we still didn't get in. I don't know. I thought we were above the Izzo cut line, but apparently not.
Welcome to my life, brother. That was Ohio State last year too. I was like, do you not see the team is completely different with Jake Diebler? But
have we all not been watching the same Michigan State all year? Speaking of, I mean, this is the Big Ten preview. We haven't even talked about that. How did this hype come on this late into the summer?
Alcohol.
I don't understand how Michigan State is favored so much. They have the second highest odds in Vegas right now to win.
It happened. It seemed like it happened over a week's time in the middle of like August or the middle of September, which makes no sense to me.
I think it was Isaac Trotter picked them to win the Big Ten this year, and then after he did it, it just felt like the hype went crazy.
Izzo's starting to sound like Chris Berman, where like the longer his sentences go, he starts getting like that. Like
I brought it up with JR during the Big Ten media review. He was doing backflips to just complain about like recruiting.
Yeah,
going out of his way to talk about how just entitled these athletes are.
Old man behavior.
Like,
old man yells at clouds. Izzo, I don't know, how old is he? No, I'm just kidding. I know you're not talking about age.
I mean, how many years does Izzo have left, though? I think the Tony Bennett retiring is a big thing. Like, I don't think Izzo's going to get fired. They're not going to fire him. They're going to let him complete it out there. But I also don't see Izzo as being like a level-headed person to be like, I don't enjoy college basketball anymore. I'm going to step aside. Like, I see him being like, if I just continue on, college basketball will go back to the way it was. Like, if I just complain enough at Big Ten media days, it will return to its once glory. Like,
if I just start yelling at clouds again, they'll be on my side.
And that's all you need. If the clouds are on your side, you win.
Yeah. Russ, you and Izzo are probably about the same age, yeah?
Actually, you'll like how old Izzo is there, Dylan.
Oh, is he let me guess. 69.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Nice. I hope I live it to see 69.
Hey,
and no further. Just
nice
right there.
AF.
That's where it cut me off right there.
I just put it on my headstone, brothers. Let me tell you. My grandkids see this, just let me know.
I will say, with Woodson's 66, Izzo's 69, Underwood's 60. Got bad news for the Big Ten. Painter's only 54. He's a young buck.
How old is Jake Diebler?
He's like 16.
15, yeah.
16? Yeah.
Just got his license.
No,
he's as good as you all think he is. We're in for a good situation.
But he's going to be fired this year, you said, right? So it's...
No, I didn't say Jake Diebler would be fired.
He's going to start stressing so much, he's going to have to dye his beard like Ryan Day.
They have the like coaches conference at Ohio State every year. That'll probably be what happens. Jake Diebler will start growing his out. It'll be like, hey, just for men.
I still can't believe Eric and Chris don't believe he dyes his beard. No man is naturally have that black of hair at that age. Doesn't happen. How old is he? 50s?
I mean, he's in his 40s.
Yeah, late 40s. I could see it. But
J.R. Burke, I don't know about you guys, but as much as Dylan talks about dyeing, I think he's just projecting. I think he dyes his own hair. So he just accuses everybody else.
It's all natural.
He's 28 and he knows.
Listen, I wish I was going gray. I'm losing it. If I were going gray, I'd be much happier, but I'm just losing it. I won't even be able to go gray because all the hair on the top of my dome will be gone. Says the shiny dome over there, Russ. Jeez. Don't take your hat off. Your camera will go white. Well, I love Russ, by the way. People think I don't. I love Russ. Russ and I in real life are best of friends. I gave him the biggest hug last time I saw him. Love Russ. It's our banter. Shout out, rest in peace, Big Banter.
Oh, Big Banter.
Sorry we killed you. Not really, but
it's okay. I'm not upset.
Hey, look at the four of us. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? We're all survivors of Big Banter.
I'm not upset that we left certain Big Banter podcasts in the dust.
Maryland.
We're doing all right here.
College Huddle. All right. Welcome, Burke.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. I think that's all we got for our season preview here.
We still got
any
half an
other-
hour.
Well, we're about 30 minutes away, but
I'll make
I
it
have
happen.
some stuff to put together, so I think we'll call it early. Anything else you guys want to get to before we get out of here?
No, it's good to see everybody. I'm not. I thought every time after I get done with the huddle, I'm always like, well, JR's never gonna have me on again, so it's good to always come back.
You were awesome. You were awesome tonight, Dylan.
I try.
And next time Zach ED has a KFC campaign, we'll bring you on again.
I know I didn't bring my KFC bucket this time.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah.
It's an expectation for next time.
Shout out to KFC.
Yeah.
No free ads, but
Russ, I feel like you're more responsible, so why don't you tell people where they can find Boiler Express?
if you can get the tag right.
I don't know if that's the best bet in the world. Frank's probably the responsible one.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no, yeah,
most responsible one on the podcast right now. So
Yeah.
Well, that's why Russ was our plan B because Frank had to dip.
True. This is true. Yeah, just search Boiler Express anywhere you search podcasts. We are part of the Big Ten Huddle, so you go to the Big Ten Huddle website. You can find us there as well. But yeah, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're all those good places. So,
And at Dylan Kuhn _ on Twitter. I'm a good time over there. I like to think.
a lot of random stuff too. You talked about your shower habits the other day or something, didn't you?
I don't
What
think
was it?
so.
There was something else you were talking about, or having good
It's
hair
either-
day or something like that.
Oh, I was having a really good hair day the other
That's
day.
the one it was.
Yeah, I just got a haircut like a week ago for the first time in a few months, and I was looking fresh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Burke, where can people find Often Daunted? Are you going to change the name if they win the Big Ten this year? Is it going to be Never Daunted, or how's that
No,
work?
see, the name refers to more so my life and circumstances at all given times. So even though this
Sorry to hear
program
that.
may be, I mean, this football program is as never daunted as it's ever been. But I mean, my wife's out of town for the weekend, so I have to say I'm quite frankly daunted right now personally. But
Thoughts and prayers, Burke.
yeah, that's that name of the show ain't going anywhere. You can find me everywhere at Often Daunted across all socials. The show is on audio, just got on video like 3 episodes ago.
Oh, you get to see your
And,
handsome mug.
Yeah, I'm just excited to talk some basketball, excited to sit down here with some boilers, break some bread, and excited to next time have some ammo and actually get to fire some bullets at each other when we have some real basketball to talk about.
Burke, you're my favorite IU fan. I just want to get that.
yeah, I feel
out there.
kind
I
of bad
appreciate
about all
it.
the anti-IU takes tonight now.
You guys, I give the Boiler Express podcast a listen. They are my peek behind the curtain. They are a good listen. It is just
I'm
a bunch
sorry.
of guys having a fun time.
You
And,
got that right. Just a bunch of guys.
I can't recommend it enough. That the Frank guy they keep referring to, he is absolutely the brains of the operation. So believe
Oh,
him
yeah.
on everything that he said there. And yeah, just go follow them as well.
We call him Big Brain Frank for a reason. Hey, whose brain do you know if it actually has a sponsor? CBB Analytics sponsors Frank's brain. It's the most incredible thing in the world.
He's got a stat for everything.
He does. That guy does numbers good.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see why he was convinced to head to.
He
Purdue.
really bounced. See, I'm just the personality hire. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I liven up this old bunch. I'm the youngest.
That's why we bring you on the Big Ten Huddle personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I bring to the table.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming and listening to the Big Ten Huddle tonight. Like I said, go over and check out the Big Ten Huddle basketball page over, where that is. This will be turning into the football page soon. So if you want to remain seeing the basketball episodes, go check out the basketball page. Link is in the description. If you're watching this after the fact, I'll also go ahead and put a comment in there and pin the comment as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it.
Love
Have a
you,
good one.
JR.
We're back. Let's go.